Heroes Hour is a turn-based strategy RPG with a fantasy theme that uses procedural generation to create its different scenarios for you to play. It's a game that scratches an itch that I've had for many years. That itch was left behind by the fantastic Heroes of Might and Magic series that I played during my youth. And to be even more specific, the first 3 titles in that series. And while Heroes Hour looks and feels close to the source material, it also does enough new and different to stand apart as its own experience and not solely as a straight replication of the previously mentioned series. And hey, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button as I cover a lot of different indie content here on my channel. Now, if you're new to these types of games, then I highly suggest you start off with the tutorial, and honestly, everyone should probably start there, because it's incredibly helpful to get you acclimated not just with the flow of the game, but also the controls, since this is a console port for the Nintendo Switch. Games like these are right at home on PC with keyboard and mouse controls, but cramming all that functionality onto a controller can be tricky for sure. But it felt pretty good to me overall. Controlling an on-screen cursor with a thumbstick versus using a mouse will always feel a bit slower, but it works. Navigating through the different menus, building in the town, and the different character-related screens are all intuitive enough, where after a short amount of time, you'll be zipping right through and not even thinking about it. I know it probably looks intimidating, and at first it is, but I promise it's not as bad as it looks once you understand its mechanics. There are some different options you can tweak and customize, but be aware that you cannot remap buttons, so the default layout is your only option. As far as a story mode or campaign mode goes, unfortunately, you won't find something like that here, which for me was a bit disappointing since I like the campaigns in Heroes 2 and 3. You can find some backstory by reading up in the lexicon if you're interested in knowing more about this fantasy world, and it also tracks different things for you, like achievements, and just provides a wealth of information to the player, making it a very useful resource for information. The 2 main options here are a skirmish mode, which is more or less like a challenge mode where you have limited gold to purchase troops to defeat a specific set of enemies, but it also has a custom option to create your own as well if you want to continue playing beyond finishing its 30 levels. And the other is what I'll call scenario mode. You have a ton of different customization options to really cater to your tastes here. There's a lot of different scenarios with varying map sizes, army counts, and things like that. Then for each scenario, you can adjust which factions are in use, how many players there are since this has local co-op and versus options, and adjust the difficulty to match your skill level. The amount of content here could potentially keep you busy forever, especially if you want to overcome the higher difficulty levels and unlock the in-game achievements. Heroes Hour has a daily cycle which counts as your turns. Each day, you'll have a limited number of spaces you can move with each hero. Each town or castle can build 1 upgrade per day as well. That's how the day cycle works on the surface. Each time you end your turn, your opponents will take theirs. The worlds have a lot to interact with. There are a lot of different spots on the map, which each have their own purpose. You can battle enemies that often guard resources or artifacts, take ownership of different types of mines to increase your daily resources you acquire, just to name a few of these things. This highlights another reason why anyone that purchases this game should play the tutorial, as it does a much better job explaining it than I ever could. Traveling around the maps to uncover more of the world you're playing battling monsters, leveling up your heroes, acquiring new artifacts to boost your hero stats. Your heroes will gain XP, which when they level up, you can acquire new traits in a skill tree. Standard RPG feature, sure, but a welcomed addition and something that feels right at home here. All of these things are a lot of fun and give both a constant sense of progression and also wonderment as you play. You never know what you'll uncover next. I wonder what's over here. If I can defeat this group of enemies, I can travel to a new area. Oh, there's a boat dock so I can explore the sea. It's both fun and addicting. I found time flying by as I played. This aspect of it fundamentally reminded me exactly how I felt when I would play Heroes of Might and Magic 2, and I loved it here for all the same reasons. Building your base and acquiring new structures there allows for stronger monsters, more resources, new spells for your heroes to use in battle, amongst other things. I could just keep going on and on about the fun aspects of the gameplay, but the truth is, you should definitely just experience this for yourself. And again, there's so much more to it than that. That's just a small taste of what it has to offer. The amount of variety with the different army factions, hero classes, skills, creature units, artifacts, spells, and buildings simply cannot be shown without making this review far longer than anybody would be interested in viewing. Where Heroes Hour differs from its inspiration is the way it handles battles. Instead of slow, turn-based combat, you instead have a real-time system. At first, it can feel a bit hectic and confusing, but once you figure out its nuances, you'll find there's a really satisfying system to engage in here. You can cast spells learned to help turn the tide in your favor, and just as a whole, it feels much faster paced than the turn-based system did. At first, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, but it quickly grew on me. It forces you to often react a bit more quickly as the combat is happening in real time versus having a full turn where you can take as much time as you need to make your moves. It's satisfying to watch these battles play out and make adjustments where you think they're needed. Attacking enemy bases in particular felt extra enjoyable as you break through their fortifications in order to overtake your foe. I really enjoyed playing Heroes Hour, and with its wealth of content and variety, it's easily a game I'll come back to more in the future. If you're a strategy game newbie and this sounds fun to you, you should give it a try. The tutorial will teach you everything you need to know, and the ability to cater the difficulty to your skill level makes this a highly accessible experience. Don't let the plethora of on-screen information intimidate you. It'll all make sense in due time. Although I will say my biggest complaint with the game is at times all of this information covers things you're trying to select and can be a bit annoying during these occurrences. Beyond that, some of the icons during battles are really small and hard to see, and I'd imagine playing this in handheld mode would make those almost impossible to distinguish. Heroes Hour is also great for experts as you can really crank up the difficulty, and the procedural generation ensures a different experience each time you play. I really enjoyed the pixel art style used. It has some great sound design and music, and best of all, this is a really well done port for the Nintendo Switch. I didn't experience any slowdown or lag, even when the battles were incredibly chaotic. Heroes Hour was a great way to experience a gameplay style that I spent many hours of my youth enjoying. If you made it this far into my review, I highly recommend you play this for yourself. I appreciate you watching this review and hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, have a good one.